Hi, my name's Catriona and today I'm reviewing 3 love stories. This is going to be a non-spoiler review and I'm just going to go through them in the order that I read them and talk a little bit about them. A concise Chinese-English dictionary for lovers follows a young Chinese girl who I believe is about 23-24. She comes over from her hometown to London to learn English, and this covers her life throughout that year. It's initially written in quite broken English. It progresses as her own language progresses during her time in London. It's very impressive. It comes in sort of stops and starts in waves. So for example, it says now, Beijing time 12 o'clock midnight, London time 5 o'clock midnight, but I at neither time zone. I on airplane, sitting on 25,000 kilometres above to earth and try and remember all English I learned in school. I not meet you yet, you in future. So it's written kind of in the first person and the second person. It's first person addressed to this unknown you. It's actually an unnamed character, an older man she encounters and falls in love with in the UK. The most interesting part of this novel is its style and form. Because it's written in uncertain English, I believe that in Mandarin and her Chinese dialect that she also speaks, tenses don't tend to affect verbs. It's something she struggles with a lot to employ in her English, so you're not always sure when things are happening, when it's being written. This is written in the present tense but with a past tense sense of reflection. We're not really sure when this is being written. We're really held at a distance throughout this book, partly through the language barrier, and also conveys the distance our main character feels herself from this lover she's writing to. I really enjoyed the subtlety of this novel. It was very underwritten. So for example, towards the end of the book, our main character and her partner go past, are out travelling and they see a group of people and she starts crying, and the line is just, he looked at me and he knew why I was crying, and you know why she's crying, and it's just sad, but it's very powerful with very few words, which I really enjoyed in this book. It is an aspect I really enjoyed in one of the next books I'm going to be talking about. The only con I have for this book is our main character really has very few interactions at all. This is extremely focused just on her interactions with her lover, and some other female characters are mentioned in passing, but we don't see her interactions with them. How her interactions with British women also affect her experience of the UK. We only see her interact with men. There's a section where she's travelling through Europe and she only encounters men on that trip. I wish I'd seen some sort of female-female relationship. She does have a female professor who's teaching her grammar, but again, we don't see a huge amount of her. My overall thoughts is this was a very, very captivating book. This is the first time I've read a book on one day for a long time. I felt like I was totally sucked into our main character's mind, and at the same time felt a great distance from her. I thought it was really, really interesting, and I will definitely be reading more of Zhao Luguo's work. Next, I'm going to be talking about a book that's even more underwritten, and that is 100 Shadows by Huang Zhengyun, translated by Zheng Yuan. This was in the March 2017 Moth Box, which is very exciting. And this is published by Tilted Axis Press, which is a small not-for-profit press which translates and publishes books which are very popular in their home country, which have not made their way through to Western literature yet. So for example, this was a bestseller in Korea. This is a fantasy-ish kind of novel. The fantasy element of it is that shadows, so people's shadows can rise, become animate, and people have to be very, very careful to not follow their shadows because they can become taken away, trapped, their identity is lost, and they eventually die. It's very much linked and a metaphor for depression. The following of the shadows is sort of an allegory for self-destructive behaviour with mental illness. It's very interesting. This again is a sort of tentative love story. The fantasy aspect is there, but like I say, it's more allegorical. It's not necessarily fully explored. It's just an aspect of the world which I found really interesting. So in some ways it's more magical realism. And this follows our two main characters, Youngyo and Muji, as they sort of tentatively start their relationship. They both work in this old electronics supermarket. I think it seems to be quite run down, a little bit of an eyesore, and it's constantly being threatened to be knocked down and something more profitable be put on the land, for example like a park or apartment blocks or something like that. They're definitely on the edges of society and unstable in their future and even their current situations. This is less than 150 pages, so there's very little I can say without spoilers, but it's a quiet, again, underwritten novel with this sweet beginning romance between our two main characters. I really enjoyed it. Definitely going to look out for more of this author's work if it ever gets translated into English. and I've already purchased another book published by this press, which is great. This is creepy, atmospheric. I highly recommend that you check this out. And the third love story I have to talk to you about is The Improbability of Love by Hannah Rothschild, and this is kind of trash. Like, this was trash. I'm happy I read it and it was fun, but this was shortlisted for the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction in 2016. I'm very much glad it didn't win. This did not deserve to win a prize in my opinion. In contrast to the other two books, this is extremely overwritten. I listened to this in audiobook and it was actually an excellent audiobook. I really recommend it. It was performed very well. However, I sometimes think that audiobooks magnify flaws in books because you can't skim. You have to pay attention to everything equally. This centres on the London art scene and it also has a huge focus on cooking. Our main character, Annie McD, decides to buy a birthday present for a man she's been seeing a little recently. She finds a picture in a junk shop which she wants to buy for him, pays £75, and we know from the start that this is going to turn out to be this amazing masterpiece, and it's slated to be auctioned for a record price. Our first chapter, the prologue, is already at this auction, and we dip into all the different people that are there that are looking to buy and or sell it, and we don't know at that point who has the painting, and then we jump back 6 months before when Annie's finding it, and it's the path from there where she discovers it, is trying to authenticate it, all the other interested parties, how it ended up there, and so on. It also has chapters from the perspective of the painting, which were fun. They were ridiculous, but they were fun. It's a very self-important painting. It was painted in the 17th century, and he refers to himself as moi constantly, which is very funny, and like I say, it was well done in the audiobook. However, this book is ridiculously overwritten. It's so long. It's nearly 500 pages and it could easily be 300 if it cut out all the repetition. All the characters were massively caricatured except our main character, who is just extremely bland. She's that everyman main character experiencing all these caricatures. We have a slightly racist portrait of a Russian oligarch, a hyper flamboyant, over-the-top, ridiculous gay socialite called Barty. One of the characters, Dolores, is a world-renowned expert on 17th century French artwork, and the only thing we ever know about her is she's really fat and she wants to eat constantly. We don't know anything about. She's clearly a scholar, she's clearly a very intelligent person if that's her background. She published multiple books on this subject, but all we get about her is that she wants to eat and she eats too much. That's all we know. There's one ridiculous interaction which I think epitomised this one-dimensionalness of all the characters. So Vlad, our Russian oligarch, we know has killed in the past, and he is in bed with a prostitute. He turns to her and he says, "Would you kill for something?" And she says something ridiculous like, "I think I'd kill for a Mulberry handbag." Come on, you know? The love story in this is weird, and it was fun. I think the first third of it I was so on board because it was really fun, but then passages were continuously repeating themselves and needed a good edit. I get why a lot of people like this. It had a lot of flaws, and I'm glad that I read it. I'm really glad that I finally picked it up because it's actually been on my shelf for a good while. However, it did a lot of telling and showing and then telling you again, and then another character telling you, and then 50 pages later the same character would tell you again, and the epilogue was ridiculous. There is a big twist later on about one of the main characters, and I won't spoil it, but that did sort of like hook me again for a little while. However, I think that you should pick up the audiobook and listen to the sample, or read the first couple of chapters and see if it sounds like it'd be something for you, because a lot of people really love it and it was fun, so give it a go. But not a favourite this year. So there we go, that is 3 love story reviews. So subscribe to see more videos from me. I post about 3 times a week. You can also follow me on Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter, all of which are linked below. Thanks for watching, bye. A Concise Chinese English Lovers Dictionary. Oh my god, that title is so hard to say.